Tonight, we're talking all about real estate. Tonight, we have a special guest in the house. We're going to introduce him right away. Welcome, Jay Johnson, to your first ever law call. Good evening. How are you?
Doing good, Larry. Honored to be here with you this evening.
All right. Well, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you practice, and what you currently do now.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Larry. Yeah, well, I originally grew up in L.A., Lower Alabama, off Alabama, and went to Auburn for undergrad, moved to the great state of Florida to go to law school about 20 years ago, and practiced in Tallahassee and down in Tampa, and then moved to up here to the Panhandle about 12 years ago, and you know, enjoying it. Is always a goal to get here to the Panhandle, and my great aunt had built a house there on 30A back in 1954, and
wow.
So we grew up vacationing there, and so been here a little while now. The years keep adding up, Larry.
Well, they do, and welcome for your first time here on Law Call, and we're going to get you kind of worked in here a little bit. Tonight we're talking all about real estate, buying and selling real estate. We've got some interesting facts. Jay also is a top realtor. So in addition to having that law degree and being a lawyer, he is a top realtor over on Highway 30A. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, that's the high rent district of what I call the state of Florida. Where your price per square foot is in the thousands of dollars, which is truly amazing. But that's the kind of work that Jay does, and he's also handled foreclosures. I mean, thousands of foreclosures that you worked on in your legal career as well. So we've got a lot of interesting things to talk about real estate. But we've got an email question. Let's go to that real quick. Bring that up on the screen, please. There we go. Caught everybody off guard tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start reading the email question as they bring it up. And this is off topic a little bit, but it says, I had rectal colon cancer. They gave me almost twice the amount of radiation, and my doctor told me they gave me the wrong chemotherapy. I have been struggling with being able to walk and use the right hand and leg has been affected. What do you suggest? I'm 63. I can no longer work because of this. I'm on disability, but it's hard enough to live on. And this is from Mary. Mary, I don't know which jurisdiction you're in. I mean, we are in Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Certainly with this going on and what's been told to you, you still need to have some form of investigation. And in doing the investigation, if it's in the state of Florida, we have to go through what's called a pre-suit process, where basically we have to get all of the medical records. We have to have those records then reviewed by a doctor very similar to those doctors that were treating you to see whether or not there was something called a breach of the standard of care, what we typically call negligence, medical negligence. And then that doctor has to state under oath in the form of an affidavit that says, yes, there was a breach of the standard of care and it caused this terrible outcome for you, Mary. You know, having this type of cancer, it's treatable. It is treatable depending on when it's found. But the treatment it typically involves chemo and or radiation, and that's the typical course of treatment for colorectal cancer. However, there are times where there's only one form of treatment that can be done to help bring you about into remission or even to a cure. So that's why it's important to get your medical records, go ahead and hire an attorney to do that. Attorneys who do this work on a contingency fee basis, and so they will take that information, you know, much like our law firm. We will get that information from you. We will get your medical records, have it reviewed, and then see if that is a case that we can pursue. But certainly, Mary, the outcome of this is terrible. Whether it's from the cancer, whether it's from the too much radiation or not the right chemo, either, you know, regardless, it is a terrible outcome for you, and law firms are out there available to help you. So please reach out to us and let's see if we can do something for you. So kind of a tough question to kind of hang out there with, but you know, we're here to talk about real estate tonight. I know you don't have any background in medical malpractice, do you?
You the pro, Larry.
All right, I'll leave it at that. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure anything you wanted to add to that for Mary. But in your past, you did work at a plaintiff's law firm, very fine plaintiff's law firm over in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But you didn't work on any medical malpractice cases, did you?
No med mal, but like I said, Perry and Young,
Yeah.
they're the pros.
Well, thank you very much, Jay. Jay, let's talk a little bit about real estate. We've got a couple of things. First of all, okay. Well, we just got an email question again. For some reason, we can't bring the emails up before we even get into that. What is an email, what is an email question? What is a quitclaim deed, Jay? What is a quitclaim deed? That was the email question that brought in. Probably, somebody has heard that they can use a quitclaim deed to transfer some property, but tell us what a quitclaim deed is. Yeah,
with a quitclaim deed, the one thing I do as a real estate agent is connect people. So, a lot of these closing firms or law firms as well. So, anytime somebody's got a question about a deed or what transfers and what doesn't transfer, I always recommend they reach out to a real estate attorney to get them to review it and see if there's going to be any kind of transfer potential issues. As in the past, I was in-house counsel for a title company, and so we saw a lot of title issues arise, but that's that kind of leads into the importance of title insurance. Some people wonder whether or not they should get it, but I always recommend it's good to use a local closing law firm, and then they can help you answer those questions as far as the transfers. One of the things that I've seen, Jay, and people bring documents into me for all different reasons, and sometimes they'll say, well, I got this form online. I just had this past week, so I can talk about it a little bit. Just had this form online, I filled it out, and I looked at it, and I was aghast because not only was it the wrong form, but it was filled out incorrectly. And so probably this person that has the question about the quitclaim deed, they may have pulled down a form and may think that they can fill it out themselves. Right. And there's a big danger to that. You mentioned title insurance and problems with title. What are some of the things that can go wrong in a title situation? When you try to do it yourself, or you have a quitclaim deed that maybe somebody, a relative fills out for you, and then you get it filed in, or maybe it's not filed in. Let's talk about some of those items there. Yeah, well, when I was in-house counsel at a title company, we saw a lot of claims come through, and basically what title insurance was doing was guaranteeing that when somebody went to sell the property, that they owned the property. Right. And so there can be many different issues that people raise their hands trying to say they own the property, but what the title insurance is doing is if there are some issues that had to be litigated, they'll step in, if they're covered under their policy. So it can get pretty nasty, a lot of times I've seen some big issues. So I always recommend people talk to a real estate attorney, and a lot of times they're definitely going to recommend getting that title insurance. Right. So the idea behind this with a deed or any type of deed of transfer is that you're transferring some type of real property. A quitclaim deed is a deed that transfers only the interest that you own in that property, but if it's filled out incorrectly or not filed correctly, it creates what's called a title issue, and that's what Jay's talking about. You have a title insurance company that steps in to try to rectify that, but it could be an expensive process. Number one, in time, you could lose the sale if it's not titled correctly. So we always recommend that you go through either a title law firm or a title agency to perform the deeds. You don't want to just pull a form off yourself and fill it out and say, oh, I copied it down just the way that it was before. Sometimes that's even not right. So it's good to make sure that you've got a lawyer or a title agency to double check you on something like that. What are some of the issues though that you run around? What's a good way to buy and sell a house? I mean, that's what your forte is these days. So what's a good thing for people to do when they get ready to buy, or they're getting ready to buy a house or they're getting ready to sell a house? Take either side of that transaction and walk us through it, Jay. Yeah, Larry, appreciate it. We'll take it from the buy side, because a lot of what we see over in the 30A area is an out-of-state buyer, and they're interested, here in Panama City Beach. There's a lot of vacation rental, short-term rental properties. We see a lot of that along 30A as well. And so, the first step, typically, if they're going to be, getting a loan to buy the property, is to chat with a local lender. They and see what they can get approved for. That's step one, so they have an idea of how much they could shop for. All right, let me stop you right there, because a lot of times people go online and they type in, what their income is and what they think their debts are, and then they get a quick little pop-up. They haven't filled out all the paperwork yet now. They get a quick little pop-up, or Zillow, I shouldn't say the name of it, but there's somebody will tell you, oh, you qualify, you can have a house or a house payment up to,
$2,000 or $5,000, whatever it is that sufficient to get approval for a buyer? Or is that, for a buyer to do that just to get the quick little pop-up? You said you use a local lender. Why is it important to use a local lender?
Yeah, well, the local lender will give them a pre-approval letter typically, so it's good. A lot of times, sometimes in order to show a property, the seller, may want, pre-approval, but definitely when they're going to make offers, a lot of times if there's a lending contingency, a finance contingency, the sellers a lot of times will request to see a pre-approval letter. So that's a good step to go ahead, and it can save everybody a lot of time versus shopping for a property they might not be able to afford.
Right, and how long does that take?
Oh, they can do them pretty quick. So.
Yeah. But if you wait until the end and you start putting in things in that real estate contract on contingency, there are deadlines in there, right?
Correct.
And so if, let's say that you're buying a property and you didn't have that pre-approval letter, but you're trying to qualify for a home of $500,000 and you don't qualify, you can lose your earnest money, right?
Yeah, well, they want to go ahead, and that's good to have it on the front end, because it might not get accepted either,
right.
Without seeing that, because they want to, make sure that the buyer can qualify, and so that's the first step. And then second step is reaching out, to a local realtor that knows the area, that's responsive and hustles. That would be step, the second step. And then, looking at properties, and a lot of times, here realtors, they may go video the property for the buyer, because a lot of them are out of state.
Right. You've got something, Jay's Fridays Find on Instagram, that's kind of fun to watch. But you go around, that's actually something that you do. When you find a property, or you find somebody that says, hey, I'm looking for a piece of property, I'm looking at it as a vacation rental, or I'm looking at it as a second home, and I'm willing to spend X number of dollars, a good realtor will do that for them, right?
Absolutely.
And some of the things that you do, like you said, is you go out there and you actually walk the property with them on a FaceTime video. Is that right? You just kind of walk around the property with them if they're out of state. And then what happens if somebody's local? But nowadays traffic's so terrible, and you're out looking at a property and you're seeing something on one side of the county or in a different county. Do you kind of do the same thing for them in that situation? Yeah,
and if it's I know my area, so a lot of times, I'll refer out if it's not an area I'm not super familiar with. I mean, kind of like with your lawyer, and if it's an area that you don't cover, you refer out. But it's anyway, that there's a lot of the videos, going and looking at the properties, and then the other thing I was thinking about was you get the local realtor to help you, and then also for the rentals, the vacation rentals, a lot of times the buyers want to see the cost to own and the rental projection.
Gotcha.
Those are questions that come up quite often. So
let's kind of recap real fast, and then we'll take a break. Number one, let's make sure you got approval for what you're looking for buying. What was the second thing? Find
you a good, responsive local realtor.
Somebody like you, right, for your area. And then after getting that person, finding the appropriate property, and then if it's going to be used for rental, get you a good rental projection of what it's going to be done.
Yeah, and with the cost to own, you can find out, because a lot of the condos will have HOA fees and can give you an idea what those are as well.
Some of those add-ons that you don't think of unless you're buying that real estate for the first time. Folks, we're going to be right back in just a few moments. Stay tuned. We're taking your questions live tonight about real estate matters, and we've got Jay Johnson in the house here to answer your questions. We'll be right back. Hey, good evening. Welcome back to Law Call, our second segment. We're talking all about real estate tonight. Got Jay Johnson in the house here, realtor extraordinaire and lawyer over on Highway 30A. We've got some interesting statistics to show you in just a few moments. But first, we've got Paul on the line. Paul, you're up in Chipley. How can we help you tonight?
Yes, Larry. I have a piece of property that I purchased about 25 years ago. It had a shared driveway between the driveway served both properties. About a year ago, there was a person that bought this property, and they just put up a privacy, had it surveyed, and showed that the property line was more on them than it was on us, and they just put up a privacy fence between us and close the driveway. Can that be legally done?
Well, the fact that they did it, they have somewhat of a legal right to do it, but there is a way for you to challenge it. Jay, you want to give a little bit, and then I'll give a little bit further to Paul on it?
Yeah, I would recommend reaching out to a real estate attorney to review the legal description and getting back to the title insurance issue. There may be something there as well.
Yeah. So Paul, what you need to do is get your documents together from where you purchased the land to start with. Believe it or not, if you had purchased title insurance 25 years ago, it still may be in effect. And what you want to do is take a look at that, and then take a look at your deed. Remember, we talked about the deed in the first segment here. We want to take a look at the deed and take a look at those surveys, because if there's a shared driveway and it's been in existence for 25 years, there's some legal ramifications for it, even if it's not legally deeded. Some of those things have to do with the open use of property. It may be the only means of ingress and egress into the property. There's a lot of different things to look at in this situation. So like Jay said, let's get your documents together. Give us a call tomorrow, Paul, and we'll get you in touch with a real estate attorney that might be able to help you out with this. And we'll take a look at that, because this is a property line dispute. And then when there's a shared driveway, there may be that situation where the other folks may have to take that fence down. But the longer you wait, Paul, the more difficult it's going to be, because now they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't have permissive use to use that driveway during that period of time, and the longer that goes on, that's going to harm you. So you need to take pretty quick action, especially if they did it last year. So reach back out to us, or Paul will reach back out to you tomorrow and try to get a few more details and see if we can help you out on that. So, in the rural areas, in Paul's and Chipley, it wasn't uncommon, I don't think, to have shared driveways. I remember, going to visit some of my clients, and they'll say, well, go to the right, it's my home, go to the left, it's somebody else's home, but come down the driveway, and about 3/4 of an acre in, or an acre in, or 1,000 yards in, you take a right or left, or whatever it is, but it's a shared driveway off the main road. So this is not uncommon, and it's something that unfortunately sometimes needs to be litigated, because people naturally assume I've got a survey. And I've seen also people where there's been 2 surveys, and that driveway shifts one way or the other. And Paul may have a survey that shows that driveway is really more on his property versus being on somebody else's property. So there's a lot of different things to take into account here, and that's why it's important to get in with an attorney that handles these type of property line or real estate disputes. We've got a couple interesting slides, though. Let's kind of go over some of the sales here. Some people are saying, hey, what's going on in the real estate market here in Panama City Beach, on Highway 30A, or Panama City? And amazingly, you got some great statistics. Let's take a look at those. This is the market snapshot for 30A. And you look at these prices, but the figure that stood out to me, 2 figures really stood out to me, is that when a realtor puts out a price, the closing price is 97% of that price. So there's not much negotiation, number one. Is that a fair assessment of what this slide's showing?
Yeah, that's showing 97%, and it depends on the seller, and the individual seller's motivation too, and when they bought the property, and so there may be some negotiation opportunity depending, but as you can see from that.
Yeah, $950 a square foot stood out to me, and then the average listing house on the price, $3.35 million. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide real quick. I mean, those are amazing numbers. This again is for 30A, But this is the beaches, and now is this the home or the condo? These are the homes. Astounding. You know, 98% of the list price, 9.375 million. I mean, that's high cotton, man. That's outside my price range. And here you're talking $800 and something a square foot. So the homes are bigger. And again, it's looking like the prices are holding up. I mean, that's kind of the takeaway that I've got from these two slides here, is that the prices are holding up. We've got a caller, but let's go to the third slide real quick here at Panama City. I want to show the Panama City beach market. Again, the Panama City beach market looks pretty much the same. Not much negotiation going on between the buyers and sellers at 97% of the list price. The $1 million price tag, these are on the beach properties. These are the rental type properties. And then what is that average days on market? That has increased a little bit. It used to be the average days on market was lower. Now we're up to about 2 months.
You got to be a little more patient.
Got to be a little bit more patient, but you're getting 97% of what you're asking for. Let's go to our caller real quick. I want to comment about these slides, or have you comment about slides. We've got Yvonne from Bay County. Yvonne, how can we help you tonight?
Yes, I have 5 acres, and I wanted to sell, you know, like 2 or 3 acres. Well, when I got down to Bay County Courthouse, they said that I could not sell it because it was a homestead. Okay. And so I could give it to my family, but I could not sell it. And they said that it was because it said it was landlocked, but it's not landlocked. And they said we didn't have a road into it. We do have a road into it. I come in every day, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
But to be able to talk to them is like $2,900, and I'm 71 years old. I cannot afford that kind of money.
You said talk to them. Are you talking to somebody at the building department to resurvey it, or what are you talking about there, Miss Yvonne?
To the county commissioners to do something with it so that I could sell part of it.
Okay, let me flip this to Mr. J real quick here, and let's ask him. If you got the call from Yvonne here, and she's saying, I want to sell off some of my property, what would you do as a realtor?
Well, the first thing is I'd pull the property up on the county website and look at the legal description, and you take a look at what's going on with it there, and then if there are some, you know, potential real estate issues, you know, reaching out to a real estate lawyer as well to get their opinion. Yeah.
And the other thing too, Yvonne, if you've got a survey, a recent survey, that unfortunately when you're going before the building department or you're trying to sell the property, you need a recent survey sometime in the next year or two. So hopefully that helps you just a little bit. Unfortunately, we're on a hard break here, so Yvonne, we'll reach out to you tomorrow and see if there's something else we can do to help you out. We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a few moments. And welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for watching tonight. This show just flew by, Jay. I don't know what happened here. We got to get to some shout outs. First of all, we've got a slide up to come up about the Suicide Awareness Summit that our law firm sponsors each year. That is coming up. We've got the LawCall bug. We've got to move this one around a little bit, but there we go. We had to remove the LawCall bug. If you want to sign up for this, it's a free seminar. It's by Zoom. It's at the FSU Holly Center. It's coming up in September. Just click on that little QR code there. It'll get you there to register it. This is a service that we do in our community because of a lot of health issues and a lot of aching hearts that are out there. So hopefully that we can bring awareness. If you're a counselor, this provides continuing education credits, and it's free of charge to you. We've got a wonderful speaker that's coming in this year, and a lot of unique things that are going to be taking place. A lot of businesses are also participating in it. Let's go to our shout outs. So we've got Trina, Kelly, Gary is watching, Miss Pam, Corey and Lori, Sarah Lynn, Amy Hoyt is watching. Good evening, Miss Amy, and Julie. I know you got a shout out real quick. Let's get that done.
Yeah, Julia, appreciate you watching.
All right, folks, thank you so much. And my Pam and Hank, I'll be home soon. Folks, thank you so very much for watching. We'll be back same time next week. Thank you again. Have a good night.